Don't mind me.
You just thought he's talking.
Don't finish all before me. Welcome to Wine About Cybercrime, where we pair wine and the latest cybercrime. I'm your host. My name is Cheickna Mané, Service Desk Analyst in the SOC team at ECS and a certified sommelier. With my colleague, Bill Rankin, Project Manager, Governance, Risk, and Compliance.
Well, thanks, Cheickna, for having me. I'm here to whine about data breaches. No, I'm not. I'm here to whine about privacy regulations and data breaches. No, I'm not. Today, I'm here to whine about data privacy regulations and data breaches.
Today, we're pairing data privacy with this French Rosé, which is GL Guisson et Fils from southern part of France. This Rosé is amazing. It has a lingering touch of strawberry on the nose, French oak barrel, 12 months, and it has a mild touch of spicy and herb de Provence. And what I like about it has a little bit of dryness and strawberry touch. If you want to try it.
I think it's time. You've been talking about it. I think it's time to try. Here, cheers. Oh, wow, that is fantastic.
And a good rosé will give you a little bit of a spice finish to it, but not too overpowered with a soft.
Yeah.
So it's not as fruity, it's not as dry.
I wish I had this great of a welcoming any place I went to. So thank you so much. Well, before we get into, what I guess I'm here to talk about, I am going to try this cheese here real quick.
Uh-huh.
You see that? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I hope in editing that they let that period sit for a while and don't fast forward through it, because that is genuine. That is fantastic. Yeah. Wow.
This is an interesting topic. I grew up in France, and United States is a big country. But is the data privacy in the United States, is it really different than the one in Europe where I grew up?
Yeah, that's a really great question. It is significantly different from where you grew up over in Europe. Countries like France and other members of the European Union, they fall under the jurisdiction of the GDPR, or General Data Privacy Regulation. Here in the US, we have no such regulation. And that's really what I'm here to whine about. Every state has their own data breach notification. And as a company, each company has to understand what data breach notification is applicable to them. They have to understand the nuances of each of these breach notification regulations. They all have little differences about, the amount of data, whether or not the data is encrypted, whether or not it's encrypted but the key is still safe, in the event that you have to alert somebody. And as a consumer, I've received notifications from companies that they may or may not have had a data breach. And at this day and age, though, I'm confused as to my information may or may not have been involved in a data breach.
But what I don't understand is, first they want your money. They want you to buy something. They want you to use the service, which you have to spend money. What I don't get it is when there is a data breach, everything they want to do is cover their own back.
Yeah, that's
I don't
true.
want to use the other word, but they want to cover themselves first by sending a letter to us to say, you might not be.
Exactly. Yeah. And how do you not know? And regretfully, there's really nothing that we have. There's no mechanism that we have to hold that company accountable for telling me explicitly whether or not my personal information and or my financial information was ever part of a data breach. There are states that are leading the way, like California. Virginia just had a privacy regulation passed. But once again, if we continue on the way that we're continuing on as a nation, companies are going to have to contend with 50 other, instead of 50 data breach notification laws, on top of that, they're going to have 50 consumer privacy laws. And then on top of that, whatever else they have to do, the sectoral laws that we have here, like PCI, like HIPAA, it really just kind of leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And, completely different than this rosé, which leaves a great taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
Oh, and you don't have any. Sorry.
I live in Virginia here. And let's say I travel frequently to go to California. I buy some stuff in California. I come back to Virginia. Is those regulations apply to me or not?
Well, so it depends.
As a consumer.
Yeah, as a consumer. So you as the individual, no, you don't fall under California's Consumer Privacy Act
my
jurisdiction.
information can be spread all over California.
But the company you interacted with, they may fall under CCPA. So what that means is that that company may be obligated to follow CCPA guidelines, California Consumer Privacy Act guidelines. And that means that they may have to have a good privacy program, which means you inherit, to lack of a better term, some of the protections that are afforded to other California residents because they are under CCPA. But what you don't have is you don't have the right to perform certain actions under the CCPA, because the CCPA does not cover individuals who are transient within California. So they're just visiting, they're there on vacation, they're passing through, as it were. There's a couple different things that you could look at, and one of which is, to me, the most important one is that lack of standardization across all 50 states and having that federal omnibus privacy regulation that's written in a way that takes, I think, lessons from what GDPR, Brazil, all these other countries throughout the world, what they've done and how they've really put privacy and consumer privacy first in a regulation, and learn the things that were great about them and the things that weren't great about them. And let's take those lessons learned and apply it to a federal regulation here. And let's come with good guidance for companies. Let's come with a good explanation as to what to do. So me as a consumer, I can start feeling more comfortable and I can start getting more relevant notifications because we have a great regulation and because these companies have guidance on how to implement that regulation. And so that leads me to another point, cybersecurity and privacy. Are they two different things? And they are. They are based on completely different principles, but yet they intersect with each other. There's a saying that says you can have good cybersecurity without good privacy, but you can't have good privacy without good cybersecurity.
This is why companies need to have a partner that has a very strong SOC team around, just to analyze the root causes of
I agree.
A breach. Where did that breach happen? How did it happen? When and how can we solve that problem now?
What type of information was in the data breach?
Yeah, and the data breach, and how to stop that data breach.
So, working with a company like that, if the company where I had my data breach, they may have been able to send me an email and said, hey, we suffered a data breach, but your information was not a part of it. Or they could have said, hey, we suffered a data breach and your information was a part of it. And here's what information was in there. It was your name and your mailing address. Well, you know what? Maybe I don't expect identity theft protection because my name and mailing address was taken out. Now, if they said, portions of your credit card, the social security number, things like that, then yes, I would definitely, hopefully do expect, identity theft protection as a minimum of recompense for having my data breach like that. But, that's just where we're not at here in the U.S. We're sort of still just laissez-faire about it all. And, we let companies do what they want with our information. And, as a U.S. citizen, that really, really, grinds my gears. Now, with the meat board, or the meats here that you have.
Charcuterie?
So say that word for me one more time.
Okay. As a French person, I'm going to bring my French accent, okay?
Please do.
Tu vas rester tranquille, hein? Okay. Call it charcuterie.
Charcuterie.
Close enough.
Okay.
It's not like in the South, but close enough.
Yeah. It's got a little y'all in there, right? Yeah. So Cheickna, as an analyst on the SOC, how do you feel about how does this, make you feel knowing that, you are at the forefront, the first line of defense for companies who trust you to perform this service for them, and you need to provide them with this type of information?
That's another interesting question right there. What I like about it in a SOC team is not only we work for our company, but we also have a customers that we look after them 365 days and 24 hours. And when there is an alert, we jump on it right away. Mm-hmm. We have a team of talented people that look at the in and out of the root causes. And then from there, we come to a conclusion of it. And not only we come to a conclusion, we come to a conclusion with a better solution to avoid the repetition of the same scenario that I breach.
And if I were to say, use you as a consumer, as a client as a partner with you, we'll say, I could have a reasonable expectation that you guys would be able to provide me with a good understanding of everything that occurred, right? A good problem analysis, like you said, and what happened, how it happened, what was done to me as your partner, and that's from a privacy perspective, that's invaluable. These privacy regulations, when they talk about cybersecurity, they talk about adequate cybersecurity protection. And it's almost impossible to define adequate. You know, I can tell you what an inadequate cybersecurity program is. An inadequate cybersecurity program is a cybersecurity program in which data was breached from your organization.
Yeah.
Because you weren't adequate at that point in time, right? So defining adequate is difficult. You know, but working with a service like yours, it sounds like that at least helps to lay the foundation for an adequate cybersecurity program, because I could trust that, one, there's a 365, 24/7 monitoring.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know that I'm going to be made aware of and have all the information I need in the event of a data breach.
Yeah. Today we learned a lot about data privacy, and about rosé. I will tell you there are a lot of different type of rosé. You have different type of rosé within France, in Italy, in America, in Spain, and all over. There are different type of rosé, different type of grapes that are involved in those rosé.
And that's a great comparison, you know, because as a consumer, and what we've been whining about is I have different types of privacy data breach notifications and consumer privacy acts that I have to understand, and depends on what state I am. But you know what? I'd rather have a lot of different rosés than a lot of different privacy regulations.
There we go. If you want to meet the challenge
And make a difference.
please visit ECSTech.com.
Hey, Cheickna, thanks for having me. I'm here to talk about privacy regulations and how consumers are impacted in the event of a data breach or ransomware attack. I sound like I'm on Sesame Street, and R is for ransomware. Yeah, I'm really getting a Big Bird vibe right out of me right now. Yeah, a little Oscar the Grouch. What happened in my data breach? D is for data. It's good enough for me. I mean,